Hello, Year 4. So this week in geography, we are going to be looking at how to actually read a map and use four-figure grid references to find different places on a map. It's a really useful skill for your real life because when you do get paper maps like this, and often digital maps as well, they do use four-figure grid references. So you'll be able to do that. Maybe you'll be able to even use this skill in the summer holidays when you're exploring out and about. So what you will need today is some paper and a pencil, and I've also attached the templates on on Seesaw and on the activity so that you can complete a code cracking activity at the end. Okay, so start the video when you're ready. Okay, so just before we get started, I thought I'd show you a map, the map that I've got here, which is a certain kind of map called an Ordnance Survey map. Maybe you've got some of these at your house. Sometimes when we go on holiday to a place, we like to buy one of these maps, and then when we're walking around or we're driving around, we can keep a look at where we're going. And I know we've got sat navs and that kind of thing these days, so particularly when we're, say, out on a bike ride like this, or we're out walking, it can be really good to take a map with us, and then we know where we're going and we haven't got the sat nav with us. So this map that I've got here is an Ordnance Survey of Leeds and Harrogate and Wetherby and Pontefract, and actually it has Wakefield in it as well. And you can get one of these maps for every part of the UK, which is really fascinating. So on this map that I've got here, when I look inside it, I can actually find exactly where I live, and I can find Jerry Clay in Wakefield as well. Probably I'm pretty sure everybody's houses are on this map somewhere. So we're learning today to read four-figure grid references. And of course, grid references help us to find places on a map. There are all sorts of features on a map that you can use to help you find your way. So if I just hold up this page just here, you can see that big blue line running down, and that of course is the M1, the motorway near to Renthorpe, and that's one of the things I would look at when I was trying to find Jerry Clay and Renthorpe on the map. But along the edge of the map, at the bottom and the side, there are some numbers, and those are the grid references that we use, and we can give a grid reference for each location on a map. Now, a bit later on, I'll come back to this and we'll have a look at the grid reference for Jerry Clay, because we should be able to do that by then. But first of all, there we go. First of all, we'll have a look at how it all works. So first of all, let's have a look at this kind of map, and this, as you will notice, is just a lot like the coordinates work that we did in maths a few weeks ago, and actually we're revisiting it this week as well in maths. So coordinates is a kind of new learning in maths in year 4, and so it's kind of a good idea and a good time for us to have a first attempt at four-figure grid references in geography as well. So if we have a look at this map here that uses coordinates, we're going to practice our maths for a little bit, everybody, because it is so similar to grid references. So on this map, we've got the different locations down the left-hand side: the lighthouse, the golf course, that's the flag, of course, the parking, the P, the viewpoint, which is like the little lines coming out like this, the cycle path with the bike on it, the castle, the campsite, looks like a tent, the bus station, can we see the bus station, the church with the cross on, and the nature reserve with the duck. So the bus station is that pink one there, isn't it? So we've got all of our different places that we need to find, and we need to write down the coordinates of each place. So I'm going to start with the lighthouse, which I'll just draw a circle around that now. We need to give the coordinates in a maths kind of style for the lighthouse. Now, if you remember, when we give coordinates, we look at the numbers along the horizontal x-axis first, along the bottom, and then we look at the numbers up the vertical y-axis second. So the rhyme that we can often use is to remember that is we go along the corridor and up the stairs. So if we look for the row with the lighthouse in it, looking along the bottom first, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first coordinate of the lighthouse is 5, and remember that we always write our coordinates inside brackets and we split them up with a comma. So we were on 5 along and then up, right up to the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the coordinates of the lighthouse is 5, 7, like that. A bit different to our maths, because what we will be doing in maths is we'll be looking actually at the number location being on the grid line, but here in map work we're looking at in the square, which is really important too. I'll do one more with you, and that is the golf course, and that is the flag here. So maybe you can just see now what is the coordinate for the golf course. So we're going along the corridor to 6. Oops, I'll try that again. Lovely, and then up the stairs to 5. Brilliant. So if you pause the video and then you can write down the coordinates of all the different locations, and then we'll have a look at the answers on the next slide. So that's been really good practice of our learning of coordinates for maths, and it also relates to our grid references in map reading. Now, interestingly, Miss Harling and Year 5 have also been practicing reading coordinates in maths, and then they've also been looking at grid references in map reading. So I am going to let Miss Harling talk to you in a moment, and she's going to explain for you how grid references when we're reading maps is very similar to coordinates in maths. So here comes, for a nice change, Miss Harling.
So in a similar way, on every single map that you will come across, especially an Ordnance Survey map, the map will also be crisscrossed with lots of horizontal and vertical lines, which create squares, which are also known as grids. So these are really useful when it comes to describing exactly where a location is and finding features on a map. And you can see the one on the board here is very similar to the coordinates grid we were looking at, except that the numbers are a little bit larger. And this time they are called eastings and northings. So the numbers that lay along the bottom of the grid reference map are called eastings, and the numbers that are along the side are called the northings. Northings run from south to north, and eastings run from left to right. So in a similar way to how we use coordinates, we can also use grid references, and because they are 2 digits and 2 digits, they create a 4-figure grid reference. So in total, when you are writing your grid reference, you will have 4 digits today. So we're just going to have a look. First of all, we've taken the map away now. We're just going to have a look at this pink box here. I'm just going to pause for a second and ask you, what do you think the grid reference will be for that square? Hopefully you've remembered that the easting goes first, and that would be 32 because it is on line 32. So 32 would be the first number, and then 43 would be the second number. So the grid reference would be 32, 43. That phrase that we use in coordinates is really useful here. So just think along the corridor and up the stairs. I always find that really useful.
There we go. So that was brilliant, wasn't it? And Miss Harling's told us exactly how to use four-figure grid references to look along the easting, so along the corridor, and then up the stairs and write down those four figures to be able to find locations on the maps. So now we are going to complete a cracking a code activity, and your second challenge will be to use another map to write down some grid references of your own. Brilliant! So we need to write the place name that is found at the following coordinates, and the first one that we're given is 14, 24. So if I actually look along to the number 14 at the bottom, square number 14, which is here, and then along the northings there, square number 24, and find the square in the middle in here, which is 1424. Now this is a place called Blythe, and there is a place name in there that is in that position, that coordinate 1424, and it's called Angel Inn. So you need to fill in the letters ANGEL in on the spaces on the sheet, and you will do that for each coordinate that is listed. When you've done that, you look at all the letters that are circled and write them out just here. So write the circled letters from your answer below, and then unscramble the letters to spell another location on the map and find what the coordinates of that place are. So that's a great activity to practice grid references today. Your second task, a superstar challenge, if you're ready for it today, is to create 5 of your own grid references for different places on this different map. So for instance, you could look at any of the places on this map, and I can see a place called Oakham School. So you could write down the name of your place, which is Oakham School, and then work out the grid reference for Oakham School, which is going to be 13 and then 24. And you can write down 5 different places from this map that of your own. So well done. Brilliant, well done everybody today. So grid references, fantastic, what a great skill that you've learned to be able to use lots of times in the future, I'm sure. So just finally come back to my map of Leeds, which has got Leeds and Wakefield, and it's of course got Jerry Clay on it, and I'm just going to pop a little circle around where Jerry Clay Lane and Jerry Clay Academy are, which is around about there. I think you can see Kirkham Gate, and I can see Renthorpe, and I can see the big motorway. And so I'm going to write down the grid references for Jerry Clay. Now, as you can see, the eastings here, we are in the square 30. Brilliant. And what about the northings, the up the stairs? I think we are in the square 22. So that is absolutely brilliant. JCA is on the reference 30, 22, and that would be something that you could say to somebody and set somebody a quiz really. Can you find a place in this grid reference? So well done for your fantastic geography work today, Year 4. That's brilliant, and with many big thanks to Miss Harling for helping us out as well. That's great.